If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. I was meaning to get a bunch of stuff up there, but I haven't gotten around to it, sorry. And then join on Spreaker, and you get a email notification anytime we put up new content. It's a chat room. You can leave comments. Comments. I love comments. I don't know. Let's see. And if you need to get a hold of me, you can contact me through oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. That's if you need to get a hold of me. If it's something about the show, you want to book a guest for the show, or you want to advertise on the show, you go to oppermanreport@gmail.com. Simple as that. Okay. All right. So, had a little exciting news today. We had the conviction of Mr. Michael Avenatti. Right? Remember Michael Avenatti, the fellow who came in. What happened was, okay, what the whole Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump deal was, okay, because people, they know I have something to do with all this. They're not quite sure. There's confusion. So people think that somehow, some way, I once worked for Avenatti, or Avenatti's my client, or Avenatti's my friend, or I don't know what they think, because it seems like the attention span of Americans have just reduced so much down to a ridiculous level. What happened was, people I know, clients of mine, former clients of mine, got me involved in the Tiger Woods case and the Sarah Palin case and Wienergate and all these kind of things. Were representing Stormy Daniels, and they came up with a settlement with Mr. Trump. They negotiated with Michael Cohen and settled with Mr. Trump for $130,000. Okay, and the attorney in that case advertises on this show, Keith M. Davidson, KMDlaw.com. He was the attorney that represented Stormy Daniels against Donald Trump. Now, years later, Daniels came up with this scheme. She wanted more money. And they couldn't find an attorney to go back and violate their NDA and try and ask for more money, because obviously it was a losing game, okay? It was clearly a losing operation, but they found this character, Avenatti, and he talked me into it. Said, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we're going to go there." And he wound up suing my client too, as well. So, I guess it's in public information. It's out there publicly. It's in books and in articles and newspapers and stuff like that. That my client, Keith Davidson, warned them and said, "Hey, you're going to get hit with a malpractice suit, and all this is going to come out. You're going to lose the money we got," which is exactly what happened. Avenatti started representing Daniels. They lost to Trump. She had to pay back Trump all the money that Trump gave her. And then Avenatti stole Stormy Daniels' money from her book deal. Okay? Okay. This is one of the sleaziest guys, by the way, I've ever seen. Okay? This Avenatti character. So now, but people need to understand, this in no way affects the allegations that Ms. Daniels made against Trump having an extramarital affair with a porn star. That's not in question at all. And I don't even think that Trump denies it. We have Trump's attorney saying it. The guy who cut the deal, Cohen, he's saying it. Anyway, I don't want to get too off on that whole thing there, but people are just so damn confused. And they get a little bit of information, and they think they know what they're talking about. And it's a big mess. Okay, speaking of... It's hot in here, man. So coming up after this show tonight, I have I did an interview with the daughter of Mae Brussel. Now, Mae Brussel was the queen of conspiracy, as Paul Krasner called her. As a matter of fact, John Lennon paid for the Paul Krasner to publish Mae Brussel's work. Growing up in the 70s, I couldn't listen to her live because she was on the air live in California. She wasn't live nationwide. It was a small station, by the way, too, and her voice just reached around the world. Compared to, like I reach way more, I'm on way more stations and way more than she ever was in her entire career. Just goes to show you what influence and what an iconic figure she was. So the only way I could listen to her shows and her reporting was we would get tapes at WBAI in Manhattan, and you could go there. They would mail the tapes. They would record them in California and mail them to New York, and you could go there and sign the tapes out and listen to the tapes, and you had to bring it back within a certain amount of time. I got in trouble a couple of times because I was, I wasn't in Manhattan every day. I lived in Staten Island. But some of the just most incredible work on all the topics we cover on this show. She's always been an iconic figure in my life, someone I've looked up to. So not only do we have an interview, I think it's an exclusive as of right now, first interview with her daughter. And I'm going to be doing some follow-up ones this weekend, possibly with another daughter, another family member, and a second one with the daughter we spoke to today. So some things and also too, they're providing me with the archives, the Mae Brussel archives, and I'm going to be playing them on the Opperman Report podcast platform. So just like how we play John Barber now, and we used to play Pierce Redmond when he was producing content, and William Ramsey before we had our little falling out there. We'll be playing Mae Brussel's content on our podcast platform. I don't know what day of the week, maybe Saturday nights or something. We'll figure out a night, and or maybe once a night, whatever. We'll figure it all out. And then the ads that are in there, some of that money is going to go to the Mae Brussel's project, which they're trying to archive and house her library. Okay, so this is a big deal, and hopefully I can get involved and help them with that too. I have a big plan for a reality TV show that would be around the whole Mae Brussel's project. So that's coming up tonight. We have that tonight, this evening, after this show. That'll be playing first. Then I have a show with, I think his name's Henry Williams from the Gravel Institute. The Gravel Institute, which is like a leftist. They have Richard Wolff on their show, and on their YouTube channel, and they get hundreds of thousands of hits on these YouTube videos. I don't know how they pull it off. I don't know how some people are able to get all these giant hits, and some people have been out here for 10 years can't do it. But I don't know. What do I know, right? Oh, sorry, a little distracted here. I've been watching these sovereign citizens YouTube videos of these sovereign citizens in the courtroom. And, man, I get on these little kicks into watching these different things. And this has been my little kick this week. Getting into that, let me pull my notes here. Okay. All right, we talked about Stormy Daniels. We talked about Mae Brussel. And we talked about the Gravel Institute. Now, a couple of weeks back, I did a show called something like the fall of civilization or the destruction of civilization, the collapse of civilization. That's what it was. And one of the main points I was trying to make during that episode, it was a Friday night solo show, was how, man, the system right now, the way it's designed, is just to keep us exhausted all the time and just keep us with no free time. The whole 8-hour workday, the 5-day work week has all been designed scientifically, through studies and research and, white papers and all that kind of stuff, to keep us so exhausted and so miserable As soon as you have some free time, you waste all your money, you just blow your money on quick satisfaction, partying, drugs, alcohol, and just spend your check as quick as possible. Get back to that rat race and work like a slave all week. And I was talking about how things have become, like I was talking about how returning a remote control to Best Buy was like they tried to make it, bring back the whole TV just for remote control. This is crazy. You're out of your mind. And and also too, the thing about being kept on hold when you have to call the cable company or your Verizon phone, you're on hold. Like you have to set aside a whole day for this kind of thing. Now, you'd have to set aside 2 or 3 hours to get a problem resolved. You could have just done it with a 15-minute phone call back 20 years ago. As a matter of fact, with our Verizon phones, me and Victoria went out and we got a family plan. And they were supposed to send us an envelope to mail back the old phones. They never did. So, and they were supposed to do paperless billing. They never did it. We couldn't log in because it was asking for some kind of PIN code. They never gave it to us. So finally we went down there in person, and we had to go to 2 different Verizon stores to straighten this out. Took about 2.5, 3 hours, okay, just to get them, we had to punch some stuff, and still it's not fixed. And now, here we are a month later, and still we're not getting the paperless billing, the automatic payments not going through, and it's a big mess. So even after going down there in person, spending the whole day with them, they couldn't do it. And I got another situation, too, here with Florida Blue, my medical insurance, which I haven't even used the damn thing. I've been paying all this money for at least 6 months now. And I haven't even been able to set up the first doctor's appointment, get these first appointments going, And even when I did, it's just a total waste of money. I've gotten nothing for it. But I set up automatic payments, Then I go and check, and the automatic payments weren't working. Yeah, then I start getting emails from them saying, well, thank you for your payment. Or your payment didn't go through. We ended your automatic payment because we've raised your bill. And then I get a notice saying, we've canceled your insurance, Then I get another notice saying, your insurance has just been renewed. So in the past 30 days, I've gotten about 10 conflicting emails from this freaking company. So I don't know if I have insurance now or what, but I had to cancel these doctor's appointments that coming up. So I'm pointing out this stuff that anybody could see. We all experience the same things. As a matter of fact, when I was talking to Mae Brussels' daughter, we got onto that topic there about how screwed up and crazy stuff is. What is this? Gadzooks. I tell you, we're going to be talking about this too, man. These messages got to end. I got to get an unlisted radio show. Nobody can listen. Okay, so anyway, the other day I'm scrolling along and I see this thing about how this customer service software company is buying data from the suicide hotline people. So they want to buy data from the suicide hotline people in order to create custom customer service software. That means when you call up that telemarketing company, then you're talking to their agent, and they look on their screen how to respond back to all this kind of stuff. They're going to get that data from a suicide hotline. Now, when you look at this, there's no way this could be benign or for our best interest. Okay, to me, I think it's a clear-cut example that they're doing this now to just. How can they get us more frustrated? How can they get us now on the phone suicidal? Okay, they want you now that you can't get your cable bill paid, you can't get your cable fixed, you can't get your cable fixed. But now, before the call's over, you're going to wind up killing yourself. So it's just another example about how one of the things I talk about comes true weeks later. Let me get over here. Man. Been kind of sick all day, man. Kind of feel like throwing up. Okay. Back to the notes here. Okay. So, one of the issues we're having, okay, is, and I'm just going to get it all out here. If you don't know how the show is run, okay, I do a live show like I'm doing right now on Friday nights, and then I play 2 recorded interviews 2 hours after this with 2 different guests. 2 hours, right? That's what you get on iHeartRadio, Apple Plays, iTunes, Spreaker, and that also gets uploaded to YouTube. Okay, so the new content comes out for people on the internet, comes out Friday night. Now, this show here I'm doing right now doesn't air on AM/FM radio. This is just exclusively for internet people, for podcast people. Now, otherwise, from Saturday to Thursday each week, I play repeats every night around 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. So that content is repeats that have aired 7 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever, okay? Then on AM/FM radio, there's a new show every night, Monday to Friday, okay? New content. And if you want to get that content, and you don't live in one of these cities where the show airs, you got to go to Patreon to get that content. You can get that content ad-free. So I hope we're starting to get some explanations out here, okay? And people start to understand what I'm doing. And I may have to repeat this every single week over and over because I keep getting these comments every night. Hey, is this a new show? Is this a repeat? When does the show air? It's the same thing every night. The only time new shows come out is Friday night. It's the same thing every night. The new shows come out on Friday. That's it. If it's not Friday, then it's not new. That should be easy enough, right? Now, another problem here is that a lot of these shows were taped, let's say 2 years ago when I moved from Nevada to Florida and when I had really, really bad internet connection here in Florida. So the audio is all choppy and screwed up. And I'll get these comments all the time. At Opperman, the audio is always choppy. No, it's not always choppy. You listen to me right now. It's fine, okay? 2 years ago, we had a period of time where there is nothing I can do to resolve these situations. I'm not the cable company. I can't fix the cable, okay? Plus, you should be aware, okay, that this is not your average YouTube, okay? This is not your average. I don't know how many other YouTubers out there just spent the first 5 minutes telling you the behind the scenes of the Stormy Daniels case because I know the people involved, okay? I'm not just talking about stuff I see on YouTube. I'm not talking about stuff I've Googled. I'm talking about things I'm involved in. So this causes me problems in life, okay? This puts me under scrutiny. It puts me under all kinds of harassment that I don't come on here talking about every week. And it puts me under all kind of surveillance and all kinds of cyber attacks, okay? I can sit here and whine and complain every week after week after week. And tell you that, my settings, all my audio settings, all my stuff, it changes. I go to bed at night and I wake up the next day and it's all been changed overnight. Okay. All right. I guess, all right. That's because I have no tech skills, right? I guess, right? And this theory that, Ed needs to find someone to teach him how to do the audio. I've had professionals in here build this studio. This is a brand new microphone. It's a brand new computer. It's brand new software. Okay. I've had professionals come in here and build this. So this idea that I need advice from a teenager who's going to somehow overcome all this real life stuff I'm into. Now, we did a show a couple of months back, and it was called Let's Talk About Spooks, okay? And I invite you to go back and listen to that show together because I'm not going to be able to go into all the detail that I did that night, all right? But I've lived a life, okay, that's a little different than the average YouTuber's life. But before we get to that, I just want to make it clear that all these comments, they're done, okay? If I get any comments with the word audio, volume, choppy, and can't hear, and all those terms are now flagged, and they go into the hold for review section, okay? And I'm not even going to read them. I'm just going to delete them, okay? I have no more time for this kind of crap. I have no more time for complaints. I have no more time for nonsense. You're getting blocked. Just no time. I don't have the patience. I don't have the energy to repeat myself 100 times to people over and over again, to listen to the same stupid jokes, the same Ed's the biggest Trump hater around. Look, okay, that's an insult, okay? It's an insult to me that somehow you think I'm a liar like you are, okay? And I'm going to alter my reporting over who I like and who I don't like, okay? So you keep that crap to yourself. Now, I've been very open and honest with this audience from the first day. All right? Been involved in a lot of stuff in my life. Okay, what kind of leftist causes? Lower East Side, COINTELPRO, in contact back in those days with people that were KGB. Okay, were identified. Who knows what else we had smoking around? I'm sure there was some Mossad guys involved in all that because we had the Jewish Defense Organization around us. Okay, so there was that. And there was a whole period of time where I was in the nightclub business in New York City. I was smuggling marijuana. You know, all right? You know, so I once again, working as criminal defense for some of the biggest organized crime cases in history. Okay? Then, years later, I can probably think of a million things to tell you, okay? But then years later, things got quiet, became born-again Christian, went to the ministry for a while, opened up the beeper business. But then later on, I get back into the action, you might say, back into PI work, and worked on a case involving Sarah Palin before she was deciding to run for president. And I've told you about this, how I was infiltrated by spooks from foreign governments. My home was broken into. My dog was drugged. They got into my safe. I tell you this stuff, and it's like it's in one ear and not the other. Oh, Ed, you need to go to hire a kid to tune up your YouTube, to fix your audio. He needs to learn how to be tech savvy. What are you out of your minds? Now, what am I doing here on time? I'm so pissed off, you have no idea. Okay. We're going to take a commercial break and be right back after these messages. At aquadam.net.
Instances.
So you can listen to all that here now tonight firsthand. Now, I posted about that on Twitter, and I says, hey, Babe Brussels went to the Esalen Institute. Right? And, well, this caused a lot of controversy. Okay, because, I don't want to hear that stuff either. That doesn't necessarily mean there was any influence on her, but it's a factor we have to take into consideration. Otherwise, we're fools. And half of them already are, And I got a couple of comments on it, and one guy says, oh, she's been trying to out the CIA to assassinations for 20 years, and you're going to come along with F you, this stuff, Some kid, who's probably never listened to a Mae Brussels episode in his life. Or if he did, he listened to it 20 years later, not what was going on. And another guy says, oh, yeah, I found this. He dug up dirt on me. He's got evidence of it. Okay, and what he found was my IMDb profile, my bio, which I've used, all over the place 100 times. And it talks about how in early 2000, around 2003, how I teamed up with the founding fathers of cell phone forensics who were hot back from Afghanistan. These are the guys who cloned bin Laden's phone, okay? And by the way, they came back from Afghanistan in 2003 and went into private business. All right, so while we're still looking for bin Laden, 10 years later? Okay, I never asked them about it. They're not going to talk to me about this kind of stuff. But anyway, so this is his proof that Ed Opperman is CIA. I've been outed by some kid on Twitter. To a bunch of other kids and idiots on Twitter. All right. So, first of all, let's make one thing here clear. To out someone as being active duty CIA is a crime. Okay, you can go to jail for that. Which is why you never hear me do it. Okay. Which is why you never hear me say it. Because I'm just not that stupid, But I've had a couple of guests on this show that, I had suspicions about them before I put them on. But then after they were on, I found out later on that they were active duty CIA. I've had on the show, and they've had an agenda for what they came out to talk about. I believe that they were telling the truth. If they didn't, I could confront the facts, but I can't out them as being CIA. Although people have contacted me and says, hey, so-and-so is CIA. I says, yeah, I figured. Okay, so there's that. Plus, I've had people on here that are obviously CIA. They don't come right out and say it. But once again, it's a crime to out somebody as being CIA. Now, so then the question has now become, okay, well, Ed, are you CIA? I'm going to surprise you with this answer. I'm going to surprise you with this answer. Okay? Because, and obviously, okay, I've never been employed by the CIA. I've never been an informant, an asset, or any kind of a source of information or employment for the CIA. But those guys I was doing the cell phones with, for a period of time there, they were processing all my phones for me. Then they sold me the software. They trained me on the software. But anybody can buy the software. It's not top secret, security clearance software. And one time, get this, when I was working on the Sarah Palin case, I needed we needed a beta version of the software to work on a Kyocera phone. And at the time, it wasn't available. So I contacted them. I told them what I was working on. And they says, okay, we got a beta version. We'll teach you how to use it. So they gave me special training. In exchange, I was going to give them some free advertising kind of stuff back and forth. I forget what it was, some kind of promotion. Put their name in the press release or something like that. And they said to me at that time, and when you come down for the training to Virginia, we'll take you to meet David. And I says, David? Well, David. I says, well, I think these guys are saying. They were talking about David Petraeus. He was the head of the CIA at that time. Now, okay, if they would have taken me, in reality, okay, we have to have a modicum. I know, some people listen to this on YouTube and just anything goes. It's just like fantasy world, with sovereign citizens and all this crazy stuff, man. But I never went to, study, the CIA recruits from certain colleges. There's a pathway to get it. You have to apply. There's a recruitment, so never had any of that, of course. But I did do business with these guys who were contractors for CIA, okay? So by YouTube standards and Twitter standards, and by that measure, because there's plenty of nuts out there, there's plenty of complete nuts out there who are claiming they're former CIA, former NSA, and all this crazy stuff, and there's children under the Getty, and all this just wacky, crazy stuff, right? It's all over the place. So by that measure, if you're going to say, well, my connection to these guys, by the way, too, these are all people who came, they weren't working for, I guess they were working for the same company, but I know they weren't off in Afghanistan at the period of time I was working with them, which was basically just sending them phones, and then they gave me cell phone training. And right now, we really don't do anything much together. But if I did need a guy, I would go to the guy who trained me, who's, again, worked for local PD. So anyway, but there's this kind of this allegation that because of my connection to that one company, that somehow I have some kind of CIA background. But like I said, if we're going by that measure, that YouTube, Twitter threshold and measure, yeah, I'm more than those other guys who claim that they are. I've got a lot more, and I also do too. I know at least one time I did a job for someone with the Department of Homeland Security email address. And I'm sure there's been other times too. People have used my website and placed orders on there too, that were maybe from the government or law enforcement or something like that, DA's offices. So all that, it's all there right out in the open. I've never denied any of it. It's in my bio. I thought that would be a more interesting topic. It really isn't. Really to get into. So let's think. What else? I guess that's really it. Yeah, I thought I had more to say on this. Let's see, collapse civilization, fed up with YouTube comments, bad audio, talk about spooks, ZCIA, Stormy Daniels, Ray Brussels. That's about it. I tell you what. I might not start this next show right away. One thing I guess I could bring up now is, boy, well, I'm hoping with all this May Brussels stuff that maybe we'll get a pickup in the podcast income because it's down about 38% right now. And most of that's due to Christmas advertising revenue is so high during the September, October, November. And then it takes a big dip in January and February. So, because the number, the listeners are still there, you know. So if you can just retweet, and share the podcast link, the Spreaker one is the best one, but Apple Plays is good too. If you could share that. Don't share the YouTube. Please don't share YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, please don't listen on YouTube. Please go to Spreaker.com and you get all the notifications. You get all that stuff, better audio quality. There's less commercials. All this stuff, man. The place you want to listen to the show is Spreaker.com. YouTube is a complete waste of time. They've deleted half my best shows, and none of my best stuff is on YouTube. It's all gone. They took it all off. There was a period of time, and there's been long stretches of time where I wasn't allowed to upload to YouTube. Some months went by without any new content going up there. So if you like the show and you want to listen to the show for free, it's YouTube. Now, if you want to complain about ads, you can go to Patreon for $3 a month, 10 cents a day, and listen to the shows with no ads. So now, if it's not worth it for you to pay 10 cents a day, but you're thinking I'm going to answer your email and your messages complaining about the ads, I'm just going to block you. It's just, we're reaching a point here of where it's just outright sabotage. It's just people just trying to sabotage the show and sabotage my work with this nonsense and this distraction and this foolishness. Now, if you don't get, okay, and like if there's someone out there listening to this, I wish you could explain it to me. Get it into my head. I'm trying to explain to you that the topics I discuss on the show, like let's take, for example, the Hunter Biden laptop, okay? And the people I exposed around that and reported on around that story, okay? Bernie Kerik, Rudy Giuliani, Bo Dietl, I forget his name. The guy who wrote the book about the Swiss bank accounts there. Keith Abloh. Okay. Now, I had a lot of personal involvement, a lot of personal exposure in reporting that story. You think no repercussions came back, no problems came back for me with that story? There's other things I've talked about related to that one day there's certain people going to come knock on my door and beat the crap out of me. Okay, it's coming. All right, I know it is. So we got to come up with a decision here, okay? That if I'm just going to be placed in the same category as some freaking YouTuber idiot, or some Twitterer idiot, then I'm not going to do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like you got to take what I'm doing seriously, or I'm wasting my time, And more as this whole radio field and the podcast field gets diluted with more and more voices out there just sticking a mic in front of their faces talking that have no involvement in anything. Half of these guys are just listening to another podcast and talking about that, or listening to another YouTube channel and talking about that. So if we need to really understand that if that's what you think I'm doing, I ain't doing this no more. Okay, I'll go on my own, man. I don't need this. This is a huge freaking headache. I don't need. How's that for complaining? All right. So anyway, the show tonight sucked. Nothing I can do about it. Okay. Nothing I can do about it, guys. I'll see you next week. Hopefully next week won't suck as bad. Good night.